Hello again, everybody. It's your man Kezix. Want to come back? This is the second video. The first video was a character creation for Age of Conan Unchained. Again, free game on Steam. This is the Age of Conan game that came out in 2008. It's now 14, almost 15 years old. Will be 15 in May of 2023. And so we did character creation was the first video. Again, this is a series of videos intended for noob players, brand new people, even people who are new to the role-playing genre on computer games. And it's done by a noob. I've only been playing role-playing games since 1999 when I started playing EverQuest. So anyway, so some of this stuff is new by a noob. Sometimes I have a little insight on a few things. So anyway, the first video, again, was character creation, where we made Grisbin. Grisbin is a Sumerian, a northern barbarian, and he's a bear shaman. I don't think I've played a bear shaman before. I think I tried it once, did once before, but I deleted that character in favor of another character class, but I wanted to come back to this and make a series of videos, so I thought I would start here. So first thing you notice, or that one thing that you can see, is for a 14-year-old game, the graphics are still really nice, in my view at least. One thing I like about the Age of Conan game is that the graphics and the character modeling and the weapon modeling are all very grounded in reality to a point. They're not walking around with like 9-foot, swords on their back, being wielded by children or anything of that nature. I mean, if someone picks up a Koposh, which is an Egyptian-style bronze sword, in the game, it looks like what an actual Koposh. It's a fairly realistic-looking game. There of course there's some nudity, or close there of nudity, but most people forget about that really quickly. At least most mature people do. If you're immature, well, that's your problem, not mine. Anyway, also there are some blood graphics in this game. Those can be modified. You can tone those down if you wish, and I'll show you in time how to do that. But let's start with movement. WASD keys. Movement front, back. The A and D turning left and right here. Okay. You can use the arrow keys on the right hand side of the keyboard. I use the WASD keys on the left hand side of my keyboard. Mouse look. Now I can look around, just keeping my cursor, right here behind his head, and I can look around at various things. But if I right click and scroll up or down, it allows me to look up and down. It's a very, very good, smooth system, unlike some other games I've played in the past. So I can right click and hold it down and run around, and it'll turn in the direction that I'm looking. So I turn faster if I'm stationary. If I'm running or jogging, the turn takes a little bit more time, so you kind of play with that a little bit. So let's look at the screen here. Okay. So I typically play like this is third-person view, because it allows me to kind of see all the way around me, especially if I get into the middle of a fight. But let's start up here on the left top here. Okay, so these are your options to interact with other players. Okay, and now some of these are grayed out because we're still only in the tutorial area. But we have various windows that one can open. Opens players and PvP windows. So if you want to see what other players are in the zone you're in, you can go to that tab and explore there if you want. This is the friends and guild members window. There are several guilds that are in on the Chrome server. I've not chosen to choose any guilds or play with any guilds. This is a game one can play solo fairly well. You don't have to play with friends, even though sometimes I do run into. I like to help people when they need any help with stuff, but I'm personally more of a solo type player just because I like doing my own thing. No disrespect to people who like to play guilds. That's great, but that's where you would go to look for that. Guild management window, again, that has to do with guilds, which I don't do much of. and a couple other things up here. You'll see this thing that says claims available. Now, every now and then, the in-game the programmers will allow will give claims, and they can be anything from a specialized quest for geared around Christmas time or Easter or Halloween or something like that. You can get an item through that. Click on that, and the first claim they get is they give you this barbed cloak of vapor. It doesn't really do much. Cloaks in this game don't have much until you reach, level 40 or so. Then you can start picking up cloaks that actually do stuff for you. Everything else is pretty much just something you can look at. So I'll show you what this does. So I'll click on this. I'll select it right here. Then come down here to claim selected. Now if I didn't want it, and I just wanted the game to throw it away, I could say remove selected, and it would just make the cloak disappear. But we're going to go ahead and claim it so you can see how that works. So I'm going to claim selected, and I have now claimed it. So I can close that out, and I'll show you how that works. We'll show you right now. Okay, so you see these tabs here at the top of the screen. You got several tabs, right? This first tab is the item shop and inventory. In other words, click on here, and you can purchase items. And this is the core of free-to-play model. You can purchase items by spending real cash in the Funcom shop, or using cash from your Steam account to buy items in the Funcom shop. Either points. Here's right here the 300. Got 300 Funcom points and I can't. They modify. You can buy like 2,500 for $20 or $10. I can't remember exactly how much it is. I don't do it that frequently, but. So you can buy some various things if you want to add them to your character, and that's where you do that at. The second tab, that's your equipment and inventory. So we'll click on this, get out of the way. I'll show you that later. So this is your typical inventory. Okay. Now you can click on that, or you can click I on your keyboard, and it'll bring up the same thing. So this is your inventory on the left, or your equipment, excuse me, on the left. Okay. These are the things you have. And as far as things I'm wearing a loincloth. That's all it is. The only weapon I have is this broken oar that apparently I picked up off the beach. So if you look at the loincloth, you can see it's a social item. It covers the legs. It's a level 1 item. Requires me to be level 1. If I were to hold on to it and sell it to a vendor, I might get one 10 piece out of it. 10 is the lowest denomination of money in the game. So, and I'll show you more about how armors work later. Now, truth is, yes, there is nudity in the game. Let's get this out of the way. Let's move this loincloth off to the side, and guess what? I'm wearing a jockstrap. With the girls in the game, it's a thong, and you can remove the tops, and they can walk around bare-breasted if you want. Most people don't do that. Some people do that, and I question their maturity, but it is what it is. The models are very good, though. They're very well detailed. Anyway, so I can do that. Down here, the weapons, you have an area for 2 sets of weapons. You can either, being a bear shaman, I'm getting shield and weapon, or shield and weapon. Some of the other character classes will allow you to do 2 weapons. If you're doing a dual wield class, you might have a picture of 2 swords there to show that. And I can switch back and forth. So if I switch, click on that button, then I switch to barehanded fighting for now. We'll rectify that in the future, but right now I like swinging a big club, my big oar. If you run your cursor over top of it, it tells you what you've got. It tells you it's a 2-handed blunt. Ideally, your main hand has to be free. It's an item 1 item. Requires you to be level 1, and it gives you a damage range of 7 to 10, which is a 6.1 damage per second. So in theory, this is a fairly low level item. And if I were to hold on to it, by the time I got to a vendor, I could maybe get 2 10 pieces for it if I sold it back to a vendor. So now over here, vanity tab. So if I wanted to wear if I was wearing a piece of armor in my chest right here, but I didn't like the look of it, but I liked the statistics that it had, a good armor class, or maybe had a good bonus to Constitution, but I had a shirt somewhere that I liked the look of better, I could come to the vanity tab and put that shirt there on the vanity tab, and then the character model would display the shirt, not the armor. So that's what the vanity model is, and you'll see that later on. Anyway, so here's this Barb Cloak of Vapor. Okay, it's a social item. It's a level 1 item. It's a social. It can be worn by any class, and it doesn't do anything other than kind of look kind of funny. So I'm going to carry it over here. I'm going to put it on the cloak thing, and that's the cloak. Okay. Again, doesn't do anything for me. It's just sitting there. If on the main tab you have a cloak or a piece of headgear, this is a headgear slot, that you don't want to really be seen, you can simply click on it. So on this cloak right here, click on the check mark. So I'm still wearing the cloak, you just can't see it. So that's the equipment on the side. The inventory on the other side, on the right hand side, this is theoretically a bag, even though I'm not technically carrying a bag. This is a fantasy MMO, okay, so don't get too bogged down in the weeds on that. But I got a certain number of slots. I can later on, if I want to, purchase a bag or a backpack that I can put into this slot right here, which will extend the number of boxes I have to put stuff. There's a quest inventory here, and these are things that are not going to go in my bag, not count toward things that a number of items I can carry, but for things that I would need for it to complete a quest can go here. And then resource management, that's for collecting wood, stone, gems, furs, hides, when you get into the crafting much later on in the game. So that's what that is. At the bottom of this inventory tab over here, I can have, it gives me an idea of how much money I've got. It starts going again with tin, then copper, then silver, then gold. There's no platinum in this game, so we start with 10. That's the lowest denomination. If I remember right, it's 110 equals 1 copper, 100 copper equals 1 silver, 100 silver equals 1 gold. So it goes from there. Anyway, that's your inventory tab. This next one, skills and attributes. We'll talk about this one later. There's not much to be talked about here on this one, other than just basically telling you, pretty much what your base statistics are right now. Okay. This next one, these are your combos and special abilities. Eventually, spells will also pop into this listing. Right now, I will have a few things. We'll talk about those here in a minute. This is my quest log, the little scroll with the thing. So this right now I have one quest, and that's Shipwrecked, which tells me that I need to go find this slave master by the name of Sadur and kill him before he tells the people in Tortage City that I'm an escaped slave. So want to stop that from happening. Achievements. There are various achievements one can achieve in this game. They're kind of a side thing to do. It's kind of fun. I don't do all of them. I will do some of the exploration ones, specifically the panoramas and the treasure hunting. And in later videos, we'll see some of that work. Login rewards. Again, I'm still in the well, I can get this one. I think I'm going to hold off and save it. Well, no, let's go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and do it. So get a reward. Boom. Delivered to my inventory. Now, it doesn't always immediately show up in my inventory. Sometimes you have to wait a little while. Sometimes it's an item that you can't use until you've reached a certain level. I've reached a Paragon's Cache, which I believe means I'm going to have to wait for quite a while before I can actually use it. But I've got it now. And if I go back to my inventory, I can see a big box right there. And, well, maybe it looks like I might be able to use it. So, but we'll hold off on opening it up for a little bit. And then there's some challenges that you can do every time you log in during a game session. You can achieve, say, 20 kills, 5 fatalities. I'll show you what fatalities look like here in a minute. Completing quests. And if you complete one of these, then you can earn a point toward one of these caches here. I typically will earn a contended cache, but most game sessions, I've never earned an exemplar, or actually I have earned one exemplar cache once and one Paragon's Cache. So, and these are just boxes that have some bonus loot for you. On the right hand side is a mini map. It gives you an idea of where you are in the world. You can zoom in on the map to get close to where you're at, or you can zoom out on the map. It's best normally to leave it right here in the center. It kind of helps you kind of guide which way you want to run to reach a certain thing. You'll notice on this map There's a couple things. There's a little blue dot here that tells me it's a resurrection point. So if I happen to die here on the beach, I can be resurrected. And that reflects, I don't know if you can see over here, the glowing area. There's a little pad over there that my soul would pop back up over there. So that's what that is. This exclamation point, that's Casilda. And that tells me that that girl up there has a quest for me. And so the exclamation point equals I have a quest for you. Now, not every quest giver in the game has an exclamation point across the top of them. But most of them do, at least in the early game. Then there's a couple of other things here you'll see. It's kind of hard to see it, but it's an arrow. And the arrow tells me I need to go that direction to get to Sadur to kill the slave master Sadur. Okay, and as you fill up quests, more and more of these arrows will become apparent. Now, another thing you can do to find the map is press the M button, and that'll bring you up a closer map. There's a legend that covers a portion of the map that gives you an idea of what these things are. So the little arrow up here in the corner, that's you. Okay, that's my character, that's where I'm at. Exclamation point is a quest giver. When I've completed all the tasks needed for a quest and go back to the person to complete the quest, they will usually have a question mark over top of them, so that's that. Then there's some X's that tell you about various, when you look on the map, what the various quests are that you can track down. A little pile of coins indicates a merchant, and later on in the game we'll see that. A resurrection point is a little blue circle like this one up here. Then you have a murderer's resurrection point, which I've never played with. Tombstone. If you happen to die in game, after the initial thing, you'll respawn at a resurrection point. But then, if you died more than once, you start getting some limitations on your abilities. So to remove those, you go find the tombstone. A little tombstone will pop up where you die. If I were to be killed right here, a little tombstone will pop up. And I need to run back to that tombstone, click on it, and erase that penalty from my other stuff. So, and if you have a couple tombstones, you can't remember where you died, you can look on the map and find your tombstone and figure out where to go. So we can go up here to this top and move this legend out of the way and get a better picture of the island of Tortage. And as you go in game, more and more parts of Tortage can be exposed to you. So right now, the city of Tortage is this area over here, and I need to get to that eventually, but you know we'll get there eventually. So coming down to the right, lower right, these are hot button tabs, and as you gain abilities and spells, you can fill these tabs with abilities and spells, and you can modify these, move these around, and I'll show you how to do that later. Here's your main hot button tab. Right now I have no abilities other than these 3 attacks. Right here is my name. There's my level 1, and now I've got 108 hit points. That's my hit points right here. I've got 178 stamina points, and stamina is reduced as you fight, engaging melee combat. And then of course the blue bar is my mana bar. So the more spells I cast, the lower that bar goes, and the bar refreshes. So we'll get into more of this a little bit later on. Over here to the left is some a couple of chat windows. There are 2 basic ones, the general chat window and the combat. When I'm engaged in combat, things like how much damage I'm doing, how much damage I'm receiving, pop into this one. The general one, this is where I can talk to people across Tortage Island, in the city itself, or globally. So I normally don't. I'll switch back and forth. If I'm in the middle of a lot of fighting, I'll keep it on the combat tab. You can darken this down, and I'll show you how to do that later. And then over here, finally, before we keep moving, there's some basic moving around tabs and looking around. These are, as you start the game, these will pop up and they'll give you a little booklet that you can read to give you more information about how to do certain things. But we're going to ignore that because I've already read it for you, so I'm just going to explain things. So we're going to run up here to this girl here first, Casilda. We can't go anywhere until we take care of her. So we're going to talk to her.
A friendly face among so much ugliness.
Here at the bottom, you'll see a couple of different answers you can give. Now you can select the answer by putting your cursor and clicking on it, or you can just type 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 on the keyboard to select whatever answer you want. Be mindful that depending on how you ask or answer certain questions can change people's opinions of you in game, or quests that you might actually be even able to do in game. So it's something to keep in mind. Anyway, so they're brutes. They've done me bad things. How am I going to free you? Okay, she tells me here's a scavenger with a key. So I'm going to go hunt him down so I can get her off this thing. So run back down here and look to the left, and there's a scavenger, and he's got the key. Now if you notice, his name is in red, which means he's aggro. In other words, he will become aggressive toward me if I get close enough. He'll start fighting me without even me having to think about it. Sometimes if it's grayed out, they're normally not going to attack you if you run by them. That's only normally happens when you're so high a level that it's clearly not a good idea for them to attack you. But he's a level 1, I'm a level 1, and he's got the key to free her, so I'm going to go assault her, or assault him. So I'm going to get close, and I'm going to start swinging my club. Now you notice down here, upper left, overhead, and upper right attacks. I can, this is kind of different than most other games where you simply click on the guy, hit the attack button, and just kind of sit there while your character does its thing. You actually have some control over which side of his body you want to hit with your club. And that becomes useful because I'm going to fight this guy. Watch around him. There'll be these little bars. There'll be 3 of them, and they'll move around every now and then. They're kind of hard to see sometimes. But if he's got 3 bars on his left side over here, I don't want to try to attack that side of his body. So I want to use the right hand attack to get past the defensives. And you'll see how that plays out here in a minute. So I'm going to click on him to make sure I've got him targeted, run up to him, and we're going to start a fight. And you can see that the defensive has been moved from the top, so I'm going to keep my attacks coming right over top. Now he's started blocking, and I'm going to just choose a round. Boom. Won the first fight. Enough experience to reach level 2. So he's dead. You see, he's fallen on top of this bag of loot, but you can also see some sparkles coming up off of it. That gives you a clue that there's something there that you can loot or pick up. Okay, so I want to right-click on that. Gives me an idea of what's in that bag, and that's that key that I need to free Casilda from her chains. So I'm going to take that. Now, in addition to that, I have also gained an ability. Sweep. Okay, so the abilities are down here are done. If I click on the ability, then it'll light up one of these attack options. Okay, and if I click on the ability and then hit the associated attack direction, then it'll give a boost to the attack, and these are great to use. This allows you to be engaged in combat a little more deeply. So this works with pole arms, staves, spears, oars, two-handed blunts. Pretty much any weapon one can carry, this handheld weapon, you can use this. And it allows you to upgrade your damage output quite frequently, or quite significantly. So we're going to run over here. So there's several pirates here. We're going to go ahead and just run through these pirates and kill them, because it's good for our experience. Because you don't necessarily always want to start with no experience. So combo starter number 4, followed by a left-hand sweep. A lot of damage. Now it'll automatically target the next person who just hits you as you fight. So you don't really have to think about targeting after each fight, especially in a group. So you can just kind of let it tell you which one is closest, and you can keep fighting. Pick up a gold tooth. I can probably sell that to a vendor, make a little bit of coin. Here's another guy. Notice the defenses is not there on the left, so I'm keeping my attacks to the left to enhance my ability to hit him. There we go. He's done. Keep on going this way, and we're going to find some crocodiles. And the same thing applies when fighting animals as it does to other creatures. If you watch the defensive right here, the 3 bars, attack anywhere except for where those 3 bars go, and you're going to be doing a little bit more damage. Now there's some things, sometimes you'll find an item sitting here, and if it lights up when you put your cursor on it, you can interact with it. If it doesn't, it's just decoration, which is kind of cool still. Anyway, graphically, this game I think is still really good for its day and age. It's not really been updated too much since launch, so imagine this coming out in 2008, the fidelity for this thing. Anyway, here we go, we'll kill some more crocodiles, get all these guys killed. Sometimes they'll drop a tooth or something that you can then turn around and sell to a vendor. And again, you can see that this is, again, somewhat of a more mature game because you have blood being spilled, and you actually see the blood being spilled as you fight with different creatures. See, there's some fangs I can pick up, so those for later, sell them to a merchant when I can find one. Now, if you notice this enemy down here, basically tells me how many percentage of hit points. His stamina is pretty high, but you know, I can see his hit points disappear. I can watch that if I need to, but there's nothing special about that one. But look at this ancient crocodile. See it says boss underneath it. That tells me it's a special creature. It's got a little bit more advanced. I mean, it's a level 1, but it's got more hit points than a typical level 1. And if you look down here at the bottom right, you see all this rather graphic thing. It doesn't tell me how many hit points it has, but that tells me right there that graphic shows me that this is tougher than your typical level 1 creature. So I'm pretty certain I can still take him. So we're going to go up here. We'll start with our combo, and then we'll just keep doing it. Now you notice that the combo can be used multiple times in a fight. You just have to wait for it to refresh. And we were successful, and he dropped a fang and a mangled arm. Not sure why we would want to carry around an arm, but we'll do it anyway. So I said earlier that sometimes you'll see an item on the ground and it doesn't light up, but if you notice, I put my cursor on this chest right here, and all of a sudden it lights up, which tells me I can interact with it. Means I found a treasure chest, and it has some items inside: a blue pearl and fresh blood belly ale. The ale can heal me, so it's a healing potion. And then the pearls I can sell at a vendor to make some extra cash. So we're going to run over here. There may be another crocodile or two on this side. What we're going to do is we're going to kill every mob or creature in here on the beach to boost our experience before we go deep into the jungle. Maybe we'll even reach level 3 or 4 before we get... there's level 3. I'm gonna run over here, get into... Now, when I get into the water, you'll notice that I'll swim, but I'll stay on the surface. Now, if I want to go down, I will angle my camera down and start swimming, and then I'll swim under the water. I'll have a breath bar. It tells me how long I can stay before I need to get to the surface. Angle back up, get to the surface. So we found one treasure chest. I'm going to show you another one while we're doing all this. So you come back toward the main beach area. This is where we landed. And there's that wrecked slave galley we were on. And if you come to the nose of the slave galley, angle straight down, you'll find another chest that you can loot. It's got another pearl and another ale. Or a healing potion. I'm going to come up here, swing back to the surface. There's that Calentes guy that talked to us to start with. But we're going to run over here behind here and kill a few more crocodiles. May as well kill everything here and get all the experience points we can. You see all the defensive bars are here on this side, so I'm going to attack from the right instead of the left. Enhance my damage. Alright, now I'm going to take on 2 of these creatures at one time now. as I'm swinging at one, if the other's right beside it, you'll see it starts to take damage too. If I can keep my enemies in front of me and swing my sword doesn't hit just one. It can hit more than one, or in this case, my club. So I've got two. If I can get it turned just right, you'll see that the other creature takes some damage too. And that can become useful, especially if you're fighting groups of enemies. If you can keep a lot of them in front of you, you can cause multiple damage in one strike, which can be useful for taking on large groups of enemies. So, finish this. Oh, dropped a fang I can pick up. Come over here, take on another one. Again, I like to do this in these opening areas just because I like to boost as much as possible. Especially when you get to the end and actually do find Stewart, he can be rather tough, and if you're not high enough level, it can be a problem. Anyway, so that's all the crocodiles, I believe, here on the beach. So we're going to run back. Now, you notice I'm jogging, right? If I am running forward and I press down on the left shift button, I will sprint. That only lasts for a certain amount of time, but I can cover quite a bit of distance while my stamina bar is still there. Okay, so that's the way you can move along. So, see, Casilda's now got a question mark, which means I've done everything I need to do to complete her quest. So I talk to her. Right-click on her, and I tell her she's been ill-used.
Thank the gods each dawn that you found me here. Come then, to the city. Maybe once we're safe, I'll reward you for your efforts.
Again, this is an adult game, so...
Gods go with you.
Alright, so we're going to stop here for this one. That was the initial thing. We're going to make our way to the city in the next video. She's going to follow us along at least a good portion of the way to the city. And you'll see some other combat. Now I'm going to show you some tips and tricks, but I want to show you the beach and a general overview of the screen and some of the things that are on the screen and how they work. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video. You guys have a good one. Bye.